for football.
You're giving up on your dream, James.
No, Dad. I'm giving up on yours.
Oh, James, wait.
Oh, that's not the exit.
A lot of excitement circulating around Cary, North Carolina. The first championship involving the expanded ACC with the addition of Cal, Stanford, and SMU. Fans are all fired up. A gorgeous morning for competition here at the Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. This has been a really balanced field the last few years, and the teams to keep an eye on this year, the newcomer Stanford in their championship debut in this conference. North Carolina, the defending champion from a year ago, and then keep an eye out on Notre Dame as well.
Well, when you think of a good cross-country team, sometimes you have to look at the good coaches. And Stanford is led by Ricardo Santos. He's only his 4th year at Stanford, but over the past 10 years, he's sent a whole bunch of teams into the NCAA top 10. In fact, 10 teams in the last 14 years have gone to the NCAA championships and finished in the top 10. Now you're looking at the overall start line. Again, 18 teams across. You see Notre Dame in the white and the green shorts. And then there's Stanford in the red and black. The Cardinal in their first ever NCAA meet. They have Santos coaching them, but also they're led by Cole Sprout, Lex Young, and Thomas Boyden. Another team to watch is Florida State right there. You see next to NC State. Lots of, and Virginia in the orange and blue. Actually, the blue and orange, the orange and blue would be Stanford. But, I mean, Syracuse. Syracuse and Virginia will also be in the team race. Syracuse is 12th in the nation, and Virginia is 16th.
Notre Dame won back-to-back titles, 2020, 2021. We've had a couple of different universities since. Wake Forest won it at Panorama Farms in Charlottesville a couple of years ago. Last season in Tallahassee, it was North Carolina claiming their first championship in this conference in nearly 4 decades. Now the question becomes, can UNC defend that title, led by their individual champion, Parker Wolf? And Norm, the 8-time All-American, the senior from Denver, won the Nutty Comb in late September with a very impressive 23:04. We did not see him at the Princeton Fall Classic on October 18th, as he obviously knows his body and the routine to make sure he's primed and ready for this start.
Yes, I think the thinking was after the long season where he went to Olympic trials late into June that he should go light in the early part of the cross-country season. But he'll be ready for these next 3 weekends, ACCs, NCAA Regionals, and NCAA Championships.
One of the great spectacles in all of college sports, the start of a championship race, and the mass of humanity all jockeying to try to find your rhythm, your space, your routine. And as Norm described, that gradual downward descent to begin here in the first 300 meters.
Right, field kind of looks like a gridiron. That's actually parking spaces for the soccer contests that are held here at Wake Med Soccer Park. Today it is the cross-country grassy start. Is Parker Wolf right out in front, and that's Luke Tewalt of Wake Forest, actually in the all-black, is the early leader by a yard or so. You see Gary Martin of Virginia in the white and orange shorts and the glasses. And then there's Stanford runner. That is not Cole Sprout, but one of his teammates. And Stanford would be my early pick to win.
We'll be checking in with splits at 1.1K, 2.3, 3.85, and then the final split before the finish at 6.5K. And you see Luke Tewalt, the senior from Washington, D.C., representing John Hayes and Wake Forest, out to the early lead here in this cross-country season. He took second last time out at the Virginia Panorama Farms Invite, a 23:12:10, coming off back-to-back all ACC showings with top 10 finishes, and he has started strong here as they work their way inside that inner loop for the first time in amongst the trees.
In amongst the trees, you can see some fallen leaves blowing around the course, but the surface is actually almost like a track, you know, very hard packed dirt, and gives a lot of back. And then this Hansen, also from Wake Forest, now actually moving into the lead Rocky Hansen was the top freshman in the ACC last year. He had a little difficulty indoors, but bounced back strong in the mile 5,000 area. He is good and one to watch. Rocky Hansen of Wake Forest, right next to Luke Tewall. So Wake Forest 1-2 right now in the early going.
Hansen, his senior year, he took a blood test. It revealed that he had an iron deficiency, so he started taking supplements. He went on to win 4 North Carolina state titles. He shattered several junior state records as well, and really built an immediate relationship with his coach, John Hayes. And you talked about it, a tough ACC championship debut for the super freshman, but a strong start here as he is shoulder to shoulder with Tewall, the head of the pack.
You see 3 UNC guys right there too. Ethan Strand, Parker Wolf, and I'm guessing that's Colton Sands also right at the top for UNC. 3 UNC guys in the top 6. Gary Martin leading the Virginia contingent. UNC only ranked 13th in the nation, but I think that was probably based off not running Parker Wolf 2 weeks ago. I think UNC's got a great shot in this. But again, Stanford would probably, here's our early splits at 1.1K. You see Rocky Hansen leading at 2:57.6, not particularly fast. Will Anthony is with Gary Martin of UNC, and then as you see go back, there's the top 5 again, with UNC having 3 men in the top 6 early. Rocky Hansen never afraid to lead. Now Parker Wolf has, no, Ethan Strand, excuse me. Ethan Strand is now taking over with Parker Wolf right there. And it is Colton Sands as the 3rd UNC runner in the, again, the navy shorts and the white tops.
So you asked the question last year, how did Chris Miltenberg and North Carolina get it done winning the ACC title? They did it with balance. Sure, they had the spectacular run that Parker Wolf turned in to win the ACC championship, but he had help. 4 runners in the top 8 as UNC won the field with 49 points.
One of those guys was a former Division III champion. He has graduated now, so that senior experience really helped him. However, you know, we look at Parker Wolf as a senior now, and Strand and Sands are excellent. UNC's got a really good shot. You know, there's a lot of schools here up at the top that have depth 3 or 4 deep. They don't all have 5, and I think that's why Stanford will ultimately get crowned today. But we'll see. That's why we run these races. 8K is a long way. We're just, you know, a little past 1K now. Now they're starting to come out. This is the base of this long hill they're going to do 3 times. Coming out of that inner loop. And this is not going to bother them the first time. It's not going to bother them too much the second time. But the 3rd time, it really seems to be challenging. At least that's been my experience over many years with Duke teams running this course. A lot of high schoolers have felt the hurt on this hill too. They only run 5K, but it can be hard when you finish the race uphill. So this is the first time through here. As you can see, they're starting to, it's not a steep hill, it's just a long gradual uphill. Gary Martin now on the outside in the orange and white. Then you see Parker Wolf leading the UNC contingent. UNC top 3 right now is making a statement. Stanford seems to be laying back just a bit. But again, it's hard to not believe in Coach Ricardo Santos with his tremendous track record at both Iona and Stanford. His last 3 years at Stanford, he won the Pac-12 Coach of the Year. So he's 3 for 3 as Coach of the Year in the Pac-12 as a head coach.
Finding out how he will fare in the ACC as you take a look at Gary Martin there on the inside. Martin, the junior, up near the front of the pack for Virginia. Last season, all-ACC performer for the first time. He placed 8th in this race, and one of the young leaders for Vin Lanana, who enters year 6 at UVA. Hansen and Tewalt, they've been up near the front since the start. You see Ethan Strand, the senior for North Carolina. He has been the leader of the trio of Tar Heel runners. Last year's champion, kind of sandwiched in behind the 2 Wake runners, is Parker Wolf, obviously in a very good position. Then we talked about Martin working his way along the inside opposite of that wooden rail. So those are some of your front runners right now as we are approaching the 2K mark, but more than 1.25 miles into this race.
It's interesting that most of our front runners are all on teams that are going to contend. Do see the one runner from Louisville up there close, but just about everybody else is in a contending team.
See some of the splits starting to register in the 2.3K split numbers, and Wake Forest with Joseph O'Brien up in that number 13 spot. Keep in mind, Wake won this ACC championship a couple of years ago, likes of Zach Faccioni and some of those great runners.
You could see the sand being blown right into their faces. Look at the wind kicking up. Maybe they should have watered that course down a little bit. That, you know, the splits have not been fast. 6:30 for 2K. Well, I guess it's 2.2K, but not particularly fast yet. But that is nasty. That a lot of dust being kicked up right there.
Yeah, we saw the flags about a half hour before the gun went off, and they were swirling, nothing consistent, but you saw some gust, and you see it a little bit of an impact here as DeWalt starts to create a little bit of a separation, leading the pack. Any surprises so far early in this race from what you've seen, Norm?
Well, I think that Stanford hasn't been particularly aggressive. You've got a couple of Stanford guys in the top 10, but not the kind of dominance I was necessarily expecting. And they may just be playing it cool for a little longer, get their footage. Here's the short, steep hill I talk about. This is about 3K into the race. And that's about the biggest hill you get, what we just saw. So again, it's just a lot of up and down. I saw Gary Martin almost twist his ankle about 150 meters back. He seems to be fine, though. But again, it looks like we've got, you know, the two Wake Forest runners right up front. But watch this guy on the outside from Louisville. He's now trying to make a bid on. I mean, he's on the far right side of the screen, not necessarily the outside.
Yeah, that's Jeffrey Kerwa. He's just a true freshman competing in his first ACC championship.
Louisville has had a good tradition of getting some athletes from across the oceans to come to Louisville and compete for the Cardinal. They're not a threat in the team race, but Mr. Kerwa could certainly finish up in the top 5 should he choose to pursue that route.
See Ethan Strand for North Carolina. Excellent miler. NCAA All-American in the 1,500 meters this past outdoor season, placing 9th in the country. He's been busy this fall for the Tar Heels. Won the Princeton Fall Classic. He took 7th at the Nuttycombe, right behind his teammate, who you see on the screen there, and Parker Wolf.
I would say, just looking at the form, the guys that look the most comfortable are Luke DeWalt of Wake and Parker Wolf. And Ethan Strand looks fairly comfortable too, but I think, you know, a little bit more labored are the Virginia guys. Rocky Hansen, the freshman, I would say is just a gritty runner and tough competitor. We'll see how he holds on.
For a lot of our fans out there watching this morning, Ethan Strand, that last name very familiar for track and field fans across the country. Of course, Ethan's father, Scott, was the All-American distance runner with Auburn. He competed in several Olympic trials.
That turn we see right there is probably about the sharpest turn we have on the course. Most of them are nice gradual turns that aren't too sharp. That was probably the sharpest angle we'll see. So this is now on the back far side of the course, about as far away from the finish start area as you're going to get. Here's 3.8K splits. We're about a half mile past that sharp hill. As you see, Strand and Wolf leading through at 11:04. That third K was a little quicker than the first two. And then Gary Martin and Will Anthony. Will Anthony is a great 10K runner for Virginia. So he's certainly comfortable at this 8K distance.
Yeah, Anthony, New Zealand's representative and team captain back at the 2022 World U20 Track and Field Championships. Right now, Anthony and Martin trying to make sure Virginia stays up near the top of the pack as Strand has opened up the largest lead that we've seen so far this morning. The two Wake Forest runners starting to fade a little bit. Parker Wolf still in that backdrop, and you see Martin, who's been steady for UVA right now in the number 3 spot behind the two Tar Heels.
Jeffrey Kerwa of Louisville in 4th. And Stanford is not sticking their nose in this team race right away. There's 2 Stanford, well, there's 3 Stanford runners. Okay, they got 3 in the top 10. That's still keeping them in there. But Strand really looks good. Now Wolf asserting himself a bit. Gary Martin figuring with his 350 anchor leg indoors has the speed that if he can just stay with the leaders, it will keep him in the mix. Now coming down to the bottom of the hill again. So this is the big long steep hill, long gradual hill that they will do 3 times. This is their 2nd time. So now they're coming up and heading back towards the finish line and start area. As you see the grid of the parking spaces there where they originally started the race. Here's Strand still in the lead. Parker Wolf chilling. Gary Martin right with him. So that's easily your top 3. And then Rocky Hansen in 4th. And I think Kerwa of Louisville has slipped back a bit now.
We'll see Strand take that occasional peek. You see him just cornering, measuring where the next set of runners are. Obviously a lot of communication with his teammate Wolf. Gary Martin trying to blow up this Tar Heel party, sitting in the number 3 spot. Gary, such a creative guy, loves to write, big contributor for several different track media outlets, and loves to describe the thought process during a race, the adjustment for a lot of these athletes coming from high school to compete in cross country and track and field at the next level. And the junior out of Archbishop Wood High School with a strong showing so far.
Yeah, he was the all-time Pennsylvania State record holder in the mile when he was at Archbishop Wood, and had a lot of fanfare coming in to UVA. Vin Lananas, the head coach there at UVA, has had a long history of getting some of the very best high school runners to come to his schools, whether he be at Virginia, Oregon, Stanford,
yeah,
Dartmouth.
He's had success no matter where. And you know, a guy like Martin, he made an immediate impact his freshman year. He set the UVA freshman record in the indoor mile, a 3:56.82, which at the time was the 2nd fastest in Virginia history. So with Lananas coaching the last couple of years, certainly his resume before arriving in Charlottesville, as you see the 5K split start to come in, no surprise maybe this could be his breakthrough moment in cross country.
Yeah, so again another faster kilometer, and these guys are opening up quite a bit. So they're basically 14:30 at 5K, you know, 29-minute 10K pace. So the race has started to open up a little bit. In the second group, you see 2 Wake Forest runners again to Walt. There's Kerwa, Louisville. He slipped back to about 11th to 12th now, I think. And here's some more for Syracuse athletes. Remember, Syracuse is orange over blue, and Virginia is white today. Notre Dame, a whole group of them there, but that's not going to help them win the team title as far back as they are. So I would say UNC is looking really good at this point, trying to defend their 2023 ACC team title.
We talked a lot about Stanford in the race for a team title. Sprout at that last check-in running 7th, Boyden in the number 8 spot, and then Lex Young 12th. So Stanford right now with 3 in that top 15.
This is an impressive break. Here's the other, that short steep hill we talk about. They go by at the 3K mark, and then they go by here a 2nd time on this long outer loop. But I'm really impressed with what Gary Martin is doing, staying with Strand and Wolf. I mean, there's Vin Lanana right out there with the white hat on and the orange polo, yelling for Gary Martin. But look at this break. I mean, we haven't seen a break like this in the ACC championship in years. I mean, there's 3 guys completely away from the field. Parker Wolf now to the lead. Strand dropping back to 3rd, and Martin splitting the 2 in the middle. And look at this gap.
This is the next tier of runners with Tewalt, who led for the first 3 or 4K of this race. He has faded back into that number 4 spot, but you see the great distance between the packages of runners right now.
I think that's Stanford's 4th right there. So Stanford's strategy may win them the team title, because right now they have grouped up very well. UNC's got these 2 guys right here. But where is Colton Sands is the question. He's back in that 2nd group, I guess. But man, and now they've dropped, for all practical purposes, Ethan Strand as well. It looks like a 2-man battle between Wolf and Martin. But still lots of racing to go. We're almost 18 minutes in, and there's at least a mile and a quarter before this thing's decided.
Parker Wolf, the defending ACC champ, won this event last year, 23:03.1. It was the 2nd fastest 8K time in ACC championship history.
Certainly.
And we all knew what he did after that. He just took off. The 8-time All-American, had the strong showing in the Olympic trials after the NCAA Outdoor Championship, took 3rd in the trials, and that was after he won the 5K NCAA title.
Yeah, his 13:10 5K credentials definitely are the strongest of the race. But here goes Gary Martin now, trying to put the hammer down a little bit, put more pressure on Wolf. You would most likely pick Wolf in this scenario. However, again, if you go back to strictly speed, leg speed, Martin's faster in the mile than Wolf is. And now Martin has taken the lead. You would think he might want to wait to the very last moment and try and blast by Wolf that way. If you recall, Wolf was outkicked by Carter Solomon 2 years ago.
That's right.
So maybe Ben told him to put the pedal down a little early. Look at this. He seems to be going by. Wolf has not really had a response. Gary Martin, the Archbishop Wood phenom, now in his 3rd year at Virginia, doing just great stuff here.
Yeah, every year you are watching Martin just get better and better. A couple of years ago in this event, he took 58th last year, placing 8th, and right now leading the pack at the 6.5K split with an 18:50.1, and he has opened up his lead on Parker Wolf.
Look at the gap. Cole Sprout, who we thought would be one of the favorites, is back in 4th, but he's more than 10 seconds back. And now it looks like it's over. Martin has just continued to accelerate away from Wolf. You don't usually win it in this situation if you can't respond to that move. Martin's looking to put this thing away and become an ACC cross-country champion for the first time. There's still, you know, 1,300, 1,400 meters to run. But he looks like he's got it. So now the big question for UNC is, can they rally their 3rd, 4th, and 5th men versus what Stanford's doing?
So you take a look at that. Wolf in the number 2 spot. Strand is falling. He still sits 3rd. Stanford with Cole Sprout. He's made the biggest move. He has jumped into the number 4 spot at that last check-in. So Stanford sitting with 4th, 7th, and 12th right now. North Carolina with 2 in the top 15 with Wolf and Strand. Virginia has both Gary Martin and Will Anthony in the top 10.
If you remember, at Pre-Nats 2 weeks ago, Cole Sprout finished better than anybody in the last 800 meters. It's not going to get him by Gary Martin, and it probably won't get him past the UNC runners, but he definitely should be the next guy across with the momentum he currently has. There's your team scores. Wake actually leading, so we're not seeing that up front, but they obviously have the best combination. Wake in the lead.
Wake with 4 in the top 15 with Tewalt, Jordan, Hansen, and Ross, but there is no slowing down Gary Martin right now. The breakout moment for the junior who broke all sorts of records back home in Pennsylvania, running for Archbishop Wood. Gary Martin leaving no doubt on this one as he hits that straightaway.
Gary Martin taking one last look back, and he sees he's got this. Tremendous race. And you know what? This is going to be a pretty good time, too. He's going to be in the low 22s on this course. Gary Martin.
A young man about as creative as they come, loves to write about his experiences. Well, guess what? He's going to have a terrific story to write about on this Friday morning here in Cary, North Carolina.
And I believe Parker Wolf is being challenged now for second.
Gary Martin across the line, your ACC champion from Virginia.
There's Wolf in second. Be great to get a tighter shot at the finish.
See the kick by Sprout of Stanford fourth. There's an exhausted Gary Martin who knocks off the defending champion from a year ago.
There's some more Stanford runners. Five miles of hard racing coming to conclusion for many of our ACC runners. Just spectacular race by Gary Martin. I don't think many people are picking him. There's Cole Sprout saying nice job to Gary. Will Anthony. So we're getting very early team scores in. Looks like Wake. These can definitely change because there's only 3 teams now with 5 runners in. But Wake, Stanford, and Notre Dame are your top 3 early. North Carolina, we're still waiting on their 5th man to come in. Again, early indications: Wake, Stanford, Notre Dame in that order. Wake with 26, Stanford with 31, Notre Dame with 65. But that will all change as other teams have 5 people come in.
Again,
looks like maybe the Tar Heels just got their 5th man in. And see, they now have 73. Looks like Virginia may have gotten 4th with 86, no doubt greatly helped by Gary Martin's single point. You get the win, it's like having a 4-man team with only one person getting 1 point. Early on here, Syracuse may have gotten 5th. We have Wake, Stanford, North Carolina, Virginia, Syracuse 1 through 5, Notre Dame 6th. To be amended as people get all their runners in.
Saw the 2 Cavaliers exchanging a handshake. The champion Gary Martin, his teammate Will Anthony, another all-ACC showing there. Anthony 5th with a time of 22:34.2. And Norm, let's talk times a little bit. Martin with that winning time of 22:17.6.
Yeah, outstanding on this course. There's Gary shaking hands with one of the better half-milers around, Beck Whitstead. He was a finalist in the ACC 800 for Duke. But we have now 7th men in for the top 13 teams. So these scores should not change. Wake Forest 60, second Stanford 69. So only a 9-point spread. North Carolina in 3rd with 80. Virginia 4th with 94. Syracuse 5th with 121. Notre Dame 6th with 127. That's your top 6 here in the men's race. And there's Gary Martin. Again, quite the upset. We thought Parker Wolf and potentially Solomon and Cole Sprout, but Gary Martin gets it done.
You don't even look hot.
Wake Forest gets it done in the team race. John Hayes' 9th year. He has turned Wake Forest into a cross-country power in the ACC and entering this weekend the top-ranked team in the upcoming Southeast region, and they showcase why with the balance that they have. Luke DeWalt 7th, JoJo Jordan, the freshman, an 8th place showing. Sprott, Ross, and O'Brien go 14th, 15th, and 16th. But your individual champion from Virginia, congratulations to Gary Martin.
Let's go!
His first ACC title as Charlottesville celebrates here in Cary.
There's a place where dreams meet determination, and every challenge is an opportunity for success. The ACC isn't just a conference. It's a way of life, where every victory is earned and every achievement forges our legacy. Together, we will show the world what we're made of.
It is just incredible.
And define greatness for generations to come. We are the ACC. Accomplish greatness.
We now return to our interview with the insurance whistleblower.
I just think everyone should know there's an insurance company out there exposing other companies' rates so you can compare them and save.
Sounds like trouble.
It's great, actually. It's called Auto Quote Explorer from Progressive. Here, look. See, we show you our direct rates and their rates, even if we're not the lowest.
So, whistleblower usually means you're exposing something bad.
I thought it meant calling attention to something helpful. You know, like, toot toot, check it out. This thing's the best. No?
The results are in from Gary, and here is your championship finals. Gary Martin, your ACC champ, Virginia, 22:17.6, the ACC championship time. North Carolina second with Strand and Wolf. Cole Sprout, Stanford, welcome to the ACC. Sprout earns the All-ACC honor with his fourth place showing. Sean Kinney, Norm Ogilvie, and we are now joined by Gary Martin. Gary, I love reading your articles. You are so creative. You love to detail the experience of a runner. How would you detail the last 22 minutes for your ACC championship?
Thank you. I think I would detail this one by just saying the middle of the race was all about silencing the doubts. I don't think I've ever run a cross-country race where I haven't thought I was gonna die or drop out or something. So instead of just giving into those thoughts, I just got to silence them and stay strong until I get my moment to make a move.
Speaking about your moment, I noticed that Coach Lanana saw you, about just past 4 miles, I guess, down at the bottom of the hill. And he said something to you. And that was when you were right in between Strand and Mr. Wolf. Want to share with us what he said?
Yeah, I mean, I think he honestly just said, good work, looking good. He knew I was looking good. And I think he trusted me to use my instincts. And I kind of just, like, with a K to go, kind of got a little bit of an itch that the other guys maybe were hurting, and I was feeling pretty good. So I thought I might as well try to go there. And thankfully, it worked out.
Yeah, it sure did. You know, because we were thinking 13:10 5K credentials for Mr. Wolf and yourself with the great mile speed that you might want to wait till the very last minute and try and kick by Wolf like Solomon did, 2 years ago. But instead, you just put it on early and buried him. I mean, it was really impressive, the gap you opened up, at least on the TV side. It was really, really impressive.
Thank
so
you.
You just went with your instincts.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I like to have the pressure on me. Yeah, I went with my instincts, and I think I like to have the pressure on me. So if I could create a little bit of a gap, make them go get me, I kind of like to know that there's guys coming after me rather than having to go get guys.
Last question for you, Gary. You have had the luxury of working with one of the greats, a legend in cross country and track and field, in Vin Lanana. What would you say are the greatest strengths as far as how he has helped build this moment and really construct this moment for you in your long history of success?
I think the two big things of Vin is he's really good at finding that in between where we're pushing really hard and we're being the best athletes we can be, but we're not overtraining and we're showing up to the line as sharp as possible. And number two, I think he's just really good at having us work out together as a team throughout the whole season. So we know that, like, we can work with each other. Like, there's not one guy who is far and away the top guy and other guys aren't confident they can hang with him. Like, I think we all know that on a good day, we can all beat each other. And I think that really helps in cross country.
Well, Gary, congratulations. We can't wait to read about this one in more detail someday. Congratulations on the ACC championship. What a run.
Thank you.
Wake Forest, your team champion. The Demon Deacons secures 60 points. Balance, we talked about the number of finishers they had, and you look at that side-by-side with Stanford, Norm, and the details don't lie.
Right. Cole Sprout, 4. Boyden, 9 for Stanford. So they only had 13 points to Wake Forest's 15 through the first two position. But then what did it for Wake was third man 14th, fourth man 15th, fifth man 16th. And Stanford was no longer winning the West.
So Wake Forest back on top of the ACC, and we have the Wake Forest coaching staff with us. John Hayes, let's start with you. You know, you take a look at what your program has done, 3rd in 20 and 21. You win the ACC title in 22, last year 6th place, but now here you are in Cary, back atop. What's it mean to this program?
They fought very hard. We've got a young group, and we were picked to get 6th at the beginning of the year, and this guy right here has done a tremendous job working incredibly hard along with the guys. It means so much. The guys are so pumped up. One of ours is down in the medical tent right now. We're just hoping he feels better soon.
Well, John, this is Norm Ogilvie. Congrats again. It looks like, you know, the real difference maker is your 3rd, 4th, and 5th man with that 14, 15, 16 finish. You know, I mean, Stanford was ahead of you after 2 positions, but then boom, 3, 4, 5. So how did you do it? Why don't you introduce your guy next to you?
This is Brandon Hazuri, my assistant, and he's really been the key piece behind rebuilding this program, and so we're just excited to have him. Our 3, 4, 5 did great. Well, like all those guys went to battle today. We have most of our team is out here watching. It was really a team effort.
Take us through the strategy. We saw early with Rocky Hansen and Luke DeWalt. Those two led the pack. They were up there with Parker Wolf and Gary Martin. Break down the depth that you have, and you talked about it. You're still very young.
Yeah, I think we went out a little bit harder than I would have liked, but thank goodness it ended up working out. Yeah, depth came through. It was a kind of a last-minute decision to run JoJo, and we're happy we did. And so excited, super excited.
Well, John, you have certainly pushed the right buttons when you make those last-second decisions. You made a good one today. Go enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Go Deeks.
The Demon Deacons today, the ACC men's cross-country champs for the 2nd time in 3 years. The balance of Wake, too much for the rest of the conference to overcome. When we come back, a conversation with Commissioner James Phillips. Always great to speak with the commission. We'll talk about this new look ACC when we come back. Great drama unfolding here in Cary, North Carolina, the side of the 2024 ACC Cross-Country Championships. Congratulations to our individual champion, Gary Martin of Virginia, the Wake Forest men's team picking up their 2nd team title in the last 3 years. We are always delighted to have Commissioner Jim Phillips join us. And Jim, another championship. We saw the men compete just a few moments ago. This one, a little bit of a historic twist with the addition of Cal, Stanford, and SMU, a special moment in the long, rich history of this conference.
No question, Sean. It's always great to be with you and Norm. What a bunch of world-class runners we just watched on the men's side. A really competitive race, as you indicated. Wake Forest performed incredibly well, but so did Stanford and North Carolina. And it's reflective of the conference in general. We have 8 women's teams that are ranked in the top 25 in cross-country, 6 on the men's side. Again, we just saw 6 of those, all 6 of those programs run. But it's been a banner fall sports season for us. We have 7 NCAA top 25 teams in men's and women's soccer. And we also have field hockey. I think we have a half a dozen teams there. I think 5 or so. 2 top 10 teams in the college football playoff, 4 in the top 20. It's just been a remarkable fall period for ACC success. And this conference is about great academics and great athletics. Nobody's won more NCAA championships than the ACC has the last 3 years with 23. So just a really prideful moment as I watched this first championship of 28 take place here in Cary, North Carolina this morning.
Hard to say too much that Stanford really packed some punch in the distances, and they showed that today, but they were upset. They're number 5 in the country. Wake Forest was 7. And maybe it's just a little welcome to the ACC present for the Cardinal.
I don't know. Listen, you earn what you get here in the ACC, Coach. You coached here for a long time. And I think it's about competition and the rising tide theory. That's what happens because the markers get set at a level that you really compete for in the ACC. Not only an ACC championship, but if you win an ACC championship, you're in the national contention for a national championship. And that's just been the history of the league. And I really give credit to the commissioners prior and all the athletic directors and presidents that have believed in broad-based programming in college sports. Nobody does it better than the ACC. 28 sports, 15 on the women's side, 13 on the men's side. It's a dedication and a commitment like no other. And you saw it again here today. Stanford, tremendous program. We're so thrilled to have Stanford, Cal, and SMU in the ACC. But Wake Forest said, hey, you know, we're going to try to be better than you are today. And sure enough, they clipped them by a little bit. But I know there's another race that the men and the women are looking forward to, and that's as we get towards national championship time.
Commissioner, we are just moments away from the start of women's competition, and you mentioned this conference performing at a peak level, and you look at what North Carolina State has been able to do, three consecutive national championships. Ironically, the last program to do that, Stanford, back from 05, 06, and 07. So what's it mean when you look at the star power this conference has in women's cross country?
It's outstanding. What you just stated about NC State is just remarkable. It just is. And to do it one time for any of our teams, any of our 18 programs is what a wonderful accomplishment. But to do it 3 consecutive years, just remarkable. And I'm really looking forward to the race that's pending. One of the other areas that I'm really proud of when I think about cross country here in the ACC, we've won 16 national championships combined through our 18 schools. It's the most of any conference in the country, and so we'll see what happens. Again, we got to run the race and you got to win the ACC championship. But even if you don't, you still set yourself up for a very high finish in the NCAA championships, including trying to chase the trophy at the end of the day. But again, the two of you have done a wonderful job covering ACC sports, and certainly today with ACC cross country. And I think it speaks for itself. Sometimes, we get busy with looking at football and basketball, and we tend to forget just how talented our Olympic sports are in the ACC, and ends up being, as we all know, such an important feeder system to our USA team. And nobody won more medals this past Olympics in Paris than the ACC. Nobody won more gold medals than the ACC did. So it's a conference where you can have it all: incredible academics and phenomenal athletics, including chasing national championships, ACC championships, or chasing a gold medal for your country.
Well, Commissioner, it's always a great pleasure to chat with you and see you on location there in Cary. I know you are a busy